بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to the Fiqh class. Today, inshallah, we will continue talking about the first chapter of Fiqh, which is the book of purification. We've talked about the first issue, the evidence mandating wudu. And now we will continue by who has to perform wudu. Is it obligatory on everyone? A 5-year-old boy, does he have to perform wudu?
He's going to pray?
Does he have to pray?
No.
No. Does he have to perform wudu? Why?
Because he doesn't have to pray.
Because he doesn't have to pray. So wudu is not mandatory on everyone. It's mandatory on who?
The person who's going to pray.
Mukallaf. Mukallaf. Al-baligh al-aqil. Mukallaf in English, it has no alternative, no similar word. So we use the two words, baligh, aqil. Sane, aqil, pubescent. This means, baligh. This is a new term. Pubescent means baligh. He reached the age of puberty. What's the evidence for that? What's the evidence that if you are insane, you don't have to make wudu? Yes, exactly. The pen is lifted. The Prophet ﷺ says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has pardoned those people. They are excused. So this is the evidence. And also the ijma'. Okay, what about someone who's 50 years old? Does he have to make wudu if he's sane and reached the age of puberty? He has. Of course, okay. If he's not Muslim.
Okay, no.
No?
He's not obligated to pray, no.
Okay, so he's not obligated to pray. So why not people leave Islam so they won't pray?
That's the choice they have.
Yeah, so they are rewarded now by not becoming Muslims. They won't be praying. They don't have to pray.
If that's the reward they want, they can have it.
What do you think? Actually, scholars differed whether Islam is prerequisite or not. And this kind of issues, the subject of usul al-fiqh. See, because it is a principal issue. It is not detailed issue about something. It involves many acts of ibadah. And scholars differed. Because if we say, yes, they have to make wudu, because it's obligatory on everyone. Aren't they punished on the Day of Judgment or not? They are punished. What does that mean? It was obligatory. But the other argument from the other group, they say, if you say it's obligatory and they did it, is it accepted from them? No, it is not accepted. So they don't have to do it. Because even if they did it, it's not accepted. So anyways, this is an issue of usul al-fiqh. This is an issue of usul al-fiqh. It is discussed there. But you need to know that scholars agreed that puberty, sanity is a condition for wudu. But when it becomes obligatory, at what time? Now we know the persons who are the ones that they have to perform wudu. But what time? When wudu becomes obligatory, mandatory?
When you reach the age of puberty that you have to pray.
When you reach the age of puberty, what time? I'm not talking about the age, about the time. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. In how many, in every day, how many times do you have to perform wudu? That's my question.
Well, not at least 5. At least in normal basis 5 times, unless you lose it.
Okay. A woman in her cycle, does she have to make wudu? Why? That's my question. When she is obligated to perform wudu?
After 10 days.
Why after 10 days? What if her cycle is only 5 days?
Well,
See, I'm trying to get you to the answer. I'm giving you the answer. When it is mandatory to perform wudu?
when you're going to pray and you
When you're going to pray. That's it. Period. When you want to pray. Or when you want to perform a ibadah that wudu is prerequisite for it. So, wudu becomes mandatory when you want to pray. It is as simple as that. If you don't have to pray, wudu is not mandatory. Or it is mandatory when you need to perform a ibadah, which wudu is pillar of it. Like tawaf, for instance. You need purification to perform tawaf. So here we say wudu is mandatory. What's the evidence for that? What's the evidence? The ayah. What does the ayah say? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu idha qumtum ila as-salah. So it made the condition. When do you perform wudu? When you stand up to pray. When you want to pray. That's when it becomes mandatory. Now, after you see these are introductory issues. Now we go to the details of wudu. And now we will study the acts of wudu. The acts of wudu include 12 issues that we will discuss. Is intention a requisite condition? This is issue number 1. Washing hands before touching utensils. This is issue number 2. Rinsing of mouth and snuffing water. Flushing the nose. This is the 3rd issue. Defining the area to be washed. What to wash? These are 4 issues. The 5th issue, washing of hands and arms up to the elbows. These are 5 issues that we will discuss. Then we have 7 more. Wiping of the head, determination of the number, how many times, determination of the objects of wiping, wiping of the ears, washing of the feet, sequence of the acts of ablution or wudu, succession of the acts. These are 12 issues that we will discuss. Don't open the pages, because long pages. Because underneath each issue we have sub-issues. Okay? It's not anymore that one opinion and that's it. And here's the beautiful thing about this book again. It gives you first what they agreed on and what they differed on. Then the opinions, who said this, who said that, with evidences, and then why they differed. Why they differed. So now it is very important for you to read and to follow up. So we have 12 issues about the acts of wudu. So we'll start with the first issue. Is intention a requisite condition? Yes. According to whom? Rasulullah said what? When you make wudu, you have to have the intention? He did not say that. So you cannot say he said that. Now we already studied one madhab, right? What does it say in the Shafi'i school of thought? What? Intention is required. It is a pillar of wudu. Which means if you made wudu without intention, it is too hot and you wanted to cool down and you brought the water and you said and you washed just like the acts of wudu. Then the prayer time came and you said, oh, I just made wudu. That's not sufficient. You have to make wudu again. According to the Shafi'i school of thought. That's what we mean when we say intention is required. But other scholars said it is not required. We knew the evidence for Imam Shafi'i, right? إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. But what about the evidence for other scholars? Why they said it is not required. But before this, look at the beauty again of the book. He tells you what they agreed on. He tells you, in general, scholars agreed that intention is required for worship. In general, if it's a worship, you need intention. All scholars agreed on that. And based on this fact, the majority said intention in wudu is required. The majority includes Malik, Shafi'i, and Dawood. Who's Dawood? Dawood al-Zahiri. He is the founder of the Zahiri madhab, the literalists. Ibn Hazm rahimahullah, he followed Dawood al-Zahiri. And because of Ibn Hazm, that madhab became famous and known. Before Ibn Hazm, it was not known. Ibn Hazm is more famous than Dawood himself, the founder of the madhab. So this is the opinion of the majority, that intention is required. It's not sufficient to just do the acts without intention, and then you say, oh, I need to do wudu, but I just did the same, so it's enough. They say you have to have intention. Abu Hanifa rahimahullah and some other scholars said, intention is not a condition. That's not the issue now. Now we knew one issue. Who said it is required and who said it is not required. Now the issue is why they differed. Why they differed? Based on the general principle that we just mentioned, that every type of ibadah, intention is required for it. Isn't wudu ibadah? It is ibadah or not? Yes. Be with me. It is ibadah. Then why Abu Hanifa rahimahullah says intention is not required, since he already agreed with the scholars? Because in wudu in particular, there are few things involved, extra. What is it? Cleanliness. We are cleaning ourselves with water. So these actions are probable, what we're doing. It's not pure ibadah. It is ibadah, that's true, but it is also what? Cleanliness. Because if you say it's only ibadah, like prayer, you need intention. But here, it is not only ibadah, you are cleaning yourself. So which one takes precedence? According to Abu Hanifa rahimahullah and those who agreed with him, they say the meaning of cleanliness is more. And that's why intention is not required. While other scholars say no, it is ibadah. Because you wash from here to here in particular for a reason. You wash this part, this limb for a reason. So it is ibadah. So you need to pronounce or to say the intention. You need to have intention. It is important to understand the reason of difference, why they differed. That will help you understanding the evidence and the issue. And you can read more about this issue in the book. Now we move to the second issue. Look at the sequence. First, the intention. Second, what comes after you made the intention? What do you do? What do you do? You wash your hands. That's the first thing. Washing hands before touching utensils. You have a pot, you have a container of water, and you want to use it. What do you do first? You wash your hand. Is this mandatory? Is it recommended? If it's mandatory, is it all the time? If it's recommended, why it is recommended? All these issues are discussed here. We have 4 opinions. 4 opinions. Do you have to wash your hands? Now again, we're talking about washing the hands to the wrists. There are 4 opinions. The first opinion says it is always sunnah. What do they mean by that? Whether your hands are clean or not clean, whether you were sleeping or awake, it is always sunnah. The second opinion, it is recommended for the person in doubt. In doubt of what? Of his hands, whether they are clean or not. Why they differed again? Because if your hands are not clean and you put them in the container, what will happen to that water? It's no longer pure. It's contaminated. You cannot use it for wudu. So that's why your hands should be clean. So you won't affect the water. And that's why they said, if you are in doubt, what do? You wash them. But is that a must? It is recommended. A third opinion says it is obligatory on the person who was sleeping. Every time you sleep and you wake up, you wash your hands. Why? Because you don't know where your hands were. The last opinion, they said it is obligatory on the one who wakes up from the sleeping of the night, only the night. See, how many opinions do we have? 4. Why they differed? Why each one said this? Let's find out from the book. Open the book, page 4. Go ahead.
Issue 2. Ahkam of washing hands before touching utensils. The jurists differed about washing of hands before immersing a hand inside the water utensil of ablution. Some have left that it is one of the practices, sunan, of ablution that is always recommended, even when the hands are clean without a doubt. This is the better known opinion of Malik and Ash-Shafi. It is also said that it is recommended in the case of a person doubting the purity of his hands. This too was an opinion narrated from Malik. It is also said that washing of hands before immersing them in the water inside a utensil is obligatory on one waking up from sleep. This was Dawood's view.
You need to know each one's opinion. Dawood al-Zahiri.
And that of his disciples. Some have distinguished between nocturnal sleep and that of the day, and made it obligatory for nocturnal sleep, but not for that during the day. This is Ahmad's opinion. Thus, 4 opinions are arrived at through this discussion. First, that it is sunnah in absolute terms, i.e. always undertaken. Second, that it is recommended for the person in doubt. Third, that it is obligatory on one awaking from sleep. Fourth, that it is obligatory on one waking up from nocturnal sleep and not that of the day. The reason for their disagreement
Here comes the important thing.
The reason for the disagreement in this is their dispute over the meaning of Abu Hurairah's authentic tradition that the Prophet ﷺ said, "When one of you wakes up from his sleep, let him wash his hands before putting it into the water can."
Okay. So now we have a hadith. The Prophet ﷺ is saying, you wash your hands when you wake up from sleep before you put them in the water can. This hadith entails what? You have to wash your hands. Do you have it's mandatory or it is recommended? Is it addition to the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wash your hands, wash your faces, wash your hands to the elbows? Did Allah mention in the Quran, wash your hands to the wrists? No. So what do? That's why they differed. Okay, go ahead.
For he does not know where his hand has spent the night.
That's the reason why the Prophet ﷺ said, you wash your hands. You don't know where your hands were during sleep.
In some versions it is said, let him wash it thrice.
Let him wash it thrice, 3 times.
Those who did not see a contradiction between the additional requirement in the tradition and what is contained in the verse of ablution interpreted the imperative word here in its apparent meaning of obligation, wujub, and thus rendered the washing of hands from among the obligations of ablution. Those among them who considered the word during the night, bayat, to imply nocturnal sleep, rendered it an obligation in the case of nocturnal sleep alone. Those who did not have a similar understanding of this, but understood from it sleep only, made it obligatory for all kinds of awakening from sleep.
Sometimes, subhanAllah, only by seeing the opinion, you know who said it. Literalists, the Prophet ﷺ said, once you wake up from the sleep, they said, anytime you sleep, you wake up, you do wudu. Imam Ahmad said no, because the Prophet ﷺ said, batat, nocturnal sleep. So it is only for the night sleep. So sometimes only by seeing the opinion, you know who said it.
Made it obligatory for all kinds of awakening from sleep, whether that of the day or night. Those who saw a conflict between the addition in this tradition and the verse of ablution, the apparent meaning in the verse of ablution being the enumeration of the obligation, furud, of ablution, reconcile the two by shifting the apparent meaning, that is, obligation to mean recommendation.
Once the Prophet ﷺ said, you should wash, what does that mean? This is a command, it is mandatory. But if you see a contradiction, there Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to wash our faces, our hands to the elbows, so it's not mentioned. And here the Prophet ﷺ told us to wash. We say there is no contradiction, that's a command and this is a command. But that's a must and this is recommendation. Others said no, this is addition, so it is a must also. See, that's why they differed.
Now, those for whom this recommendation is emphatic, mu'aqqada, due to the Prophet ﷺ's persistent performance of this act, considered a category of sunan. Those for whom this recommendation was not emphatic said it was from the category of mandub, recommended only. For them, the washing of hands in this manner is required even when they are undoubtedly clean. I mean, those who considered it emphatic sunnah, and also
yes. Now the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the reason why you wash your hands. Because you don't know where your hands were. So some said you only wash when you are in doubt. Others said since the Prophet ﷺ kept on doing this, this became sunnah. Whether you knew or you did not know where your hands were. Whether you knew your hands are clean or not. See, so this is very important, this analyzing of the opinions, why they differed, what's the evidence of each one. So this is the issue of washing hands before touching utensils. Again, this is one issue. Look how many things we have in one issue. We have different opinions. What are they? And who said each one of these opinions? And what's the evidence for each opinion? And what's the reason of difference? How many issues we have in each one? 4. Who said these opinions? What are these opinions? What's the evidence for each opinion? And why they differed? And then there is another thing also I may ask you. Which one is stronger? And based on what? So in acts of wudu we have 12 different issues. Multiply them by 5. This is only one chapter. So that's why it's important to read. And not only mere reading, but you analyze. You reflect on what you're reading. Try to put things together. That will help you. Okay, we'll move to the next issue. We'll move to the next issue. Rinsing the mouth and snuffing water. Rinsing the mouth and snuffing or flushing the nose. Is it a must or recommendation? Do you have to rinse your mouth with water, madmada and istinshaq? We have 3 opinions. How come 3 opinions? Whether you say it is mandub or you say it is wajib. But actually we have 3 opinions. One opinion says they are both sunnah. Another opinion says they are both obligatory. And another opinion says Snuffing is obligatory while rinsing the mouth is sunnah. Why is this? What's the reason of disagreement? Let's find out. Continue reading.
Issue 3. Elements rinsing of mouth, madmada, and snuffing water.
Istinshaq.
The jurists differed about rinsing of the mouth and snuffing.
Mhm.
There are 3 opinions. First, that these practices are sunnah, emphatic recommendation in ablution. This was the opinion of Malik, Shafi, and Abu Hanifa.
This is the majority actually, that it is not obligatory. That's why, if you remember last year, did we say it is obligatory or it is sunnah?
Sunnah.
It is sunnah. Is it mentioned in the Quran? No. Okay.
Second, that they are obligatory for in ablution. This was the view of Ibn Abi Layla and some
Ibn Abi Layla is one of the jurists, of the scholars.
and
I
some-
will not ask you about the opinions of individuals unless they are imams who have schools of thought, to make things easier for you, because in the course of studying you will come across many names of scholars. Okay.
and some disciples of Abu Dawud. Third, that
And some disciples of
Abu Dawud. Third, that istinshaq is obligatory, while madbada is recommended, sunnah. This was the opinion of Abu Thawr, Abu Ubaidah, and a group of Zahirites.
Mhm.
The reason for their disagreement, whether it is an obligation or a recommendation, is their dispute about the traditions reported on this issue, whether they amount to an addition over the verse of ablution, entailing a conflict.
There are traditions where the Prophet ﷺ performed madmada and istinshaq. So, does that mean it is addition? So, it is obligatory? Or there is no addition? It's just a recommendation. So, this is one of the reasons. Okay.
Those who consider that this addition, if deemed an obligation, conflicts with the verse, as the aim of the verse is to provide a foundation for this rule along with its explanation, shifted the implication of the traditions from the category of obligation to that of recommendation. Those who did not consider it as conflicting assigned it its apparent meaning of obligation. Those for whom the authority of the Prophet ﷺ sayings and acts is equal in strength, for purpose.
Okay, and this is, by the way, issue of principles of fiqh. Are the acts and the sayings are equal? And we know that the acts of the Messenger ﷺ are not as strong as sayings. And that's why we have the third opinion. Because some scholars said istinshaq is obligatory. Why they distinguished? Since the Prophet ﷺ did both. He did the madmada and he did the istinshaq. Whether you say both are required or both are recommended. But some scholars said only istinshaq is required. Because the Prophet ﷺ not only did it, but he said, وَإِذَا تَوَضَّأْتَ فَاسْتَنْشِقْ. This is in Sahih Muslim. So they said since he commanded it, he did not only do it, it is also a must. Only istinshaq. While other scholars who said even with the saying of the Prophet ﷺ it is still recommended, they say because there is a conflict between the ayah. Whatever came with the ayah, that's the obligatory. Whatever came from the Messenger ﷺ, in addition, even if he did it or he said it, that's recommended.
For purpose of assigning obligation, did not make a distinction between madbada and istinshaq. Those for whom a saying is interpreted as an obligation and an act as recommendation distinguish between the madmada and istinshaq, as madmada has been reported through the acts of the Prophet ﷺ and not his command, while istinshaq is reported both from his command and acts. The Prophet ﷺ said, when one of you performs wudu, let him snuff up water into his nose and then let it out, while he while he who performs istinja with stones, let him do it an odd number of times. It is narrated by Malik in his Al-Muwatta and by Al-Bukhari in his Sahih from the tradition of Abu Hurairah.
Okay, so this is the second issue. What do you think? Which one is stronger and why? Okay, all these things, all these questions you have to answer. And that's why it is very important to study one school of thought at the beginning. Because for those who did not study anything and they come straight to these opinions, they will be confused. It will cause lots of confusion. Okay, the third issue, defining the area to be washed. What do you wash? And here we're talking about a specific area, the face. The face. What do you wash? Yeah, you're showing me. I don't see, I cannot see. Tell me.
From under the...
From under. From or from under?
From the beginning of the face, under the hair.
What's the beginning of the face?
Forehead. The upper forehead. The whole forehead.
The whole forehead to the ears. Well, you're going like this? You have to go this first.
The whole area.
Okay.
From the neck to the ear.
Including the neck?
No. Up the neck. Up the neck.
Okay, we'll see. You see? That's why there is difference of opinions. What area do you wash? But again, look at the beauty of the book. It starts with the agreement. So the first thing you wash, the first thing you know, it is a must to wash the face. Now, did they differ like they differed on the snuffing the nose and rinsing the mouth? No, because there they differed on whether it is mandatory or recommended. Here, all of them agreed it is mandatory. Why? It is mentioned in the ayah. It is a pillar. No one argued about this. But they argued about the area to be washed. And we have three issues when we talk about the face. We have three issues. The first issue, this area, especially for men actually. Look at your beard. After your beard, there is a white area. Right? There is no hair. This is called adar in Arabic. Adar. Do you have to wash it or not? This is one issue. The hairless part of the face, between the beard and the ears. The second issue, do you have to wash your beard or not?
Yes.
You have.
Yes.
The third issue, do you include the water inside the beard or not?
Yes.
Okay? So there are how many issues? Three. The first issue, the hairless part of the face. Why they differed? Some of them said it is not from the face. Because what's the meaning of the face? Wajh in Arabic from muwajaha, what others see. Others cannot see this from you. So it is not from the face. The second opinion says it depends. Do you have a beard or you don't have a beard? If you don't have a beard, it will be shown. It will be shown, so you have to wash it. The third opinion says, no, you wash it at any rate, always. Because the face is from the forehead to the chin and from the ear to ear. So does that include this area, the white area, the hairless area, the adar? Yes. And that's the strong opinion. That's the opinion of the majority, that you wash it all the time. Because it is from the face. But again, look at the analogy of the scholars. Why they said it depends, do you have a beard or not? The second issue, do you wash the entire beard or not? No?
Yes, you wash the...
So we have two opinions.
Not at this moment.
What do you mean not at this moment?
It can be classified as a cleanliness thing also, like we said before.
Separately.
What do you mean? So, is washing the beard a must in wudu or not?
It's not part of the face.
That's exactly the reason. Some scholars said it's not part of the face. Why you wash the beard? What if someone has a beard 20 centimeters, 12 inches long? You tell him you have to wash it?
Well, and separate.
What do you think?
You're talking about the Sahaba.
Yeah.
They were always saying that it's a beautiful thing that the
We're
water
not-
was dripping
look.
from their beard.
Yeah. The water dripping from their beard. Does that mean it is mandatory? That's the thing. What's mandatory is to wash the face. Is the beard from the face? The original root, yes, it is from the face, but not the beard itself. And based on that, they differed. Also, if we say it is part or it is not part, what about inside the beard, especially if it's thick? Do you wash it or not? There are ahadith that the Prophet ﷺ did put his hands, takhleel, that's what we call takhleel. Takhleel means mixing. You mix the water in your beard. So these are 3 issues. And each issue there are sub-issues. Let's see. Read.
Defining the area to be washed. The jurists agree that washing of the whole face is one of the obligations of ablution, because of the words of the exalted, O ye who believe, when ye rise up for prayer, wash your faces. They differed about this on 3 points, namely, washing of the hairless part of the face between the beard and the ears, washing of the whole length of the beard, and the takhleel of the beard.
Yes, that's what is the meaning of takhleel. Takhleel means mixing, linguistically. And that's why khalil, what's the meaning of khalil? The one whose love is mixed in the heart, that cannot separate. It's the highest level of love.
The well-known opinion of Malik's school is that the portion between the beard and the ears is not part of the face, though some Malikites maintain that it is. Some jurists make a distinction between a person who is still beardless and a person with a beard.
Yes.
Thus, in the school of Malik, there are 3 opinions. Abu Hanifa and Ash-Shafi said that it is a part of the face with respect to the length of the beard. Malik was of the opinion that it is obligatory that water flow on it, but it is not obligatory according to Abu Hanifa and also Shafi in one of his 2 opinions.
Imam Shafi himself has 2 opinions. In one opinion, yes, you have to wash the entire beard. Another opinion, no.
The reason for their disagreement over these 2 issues is the ambiguity of the term face.
Face, again, what's the definition of face? If you say from the chin and the beard is that long, is it from the chin or not? It's underneath.
With respect to the takhleel of the beard, the opinion of Malik was that it is not obligatory. Abu Hanifa and Ash-Shafi has had a similar view. Ibn Abd al-Hakam, one of Malik's disciples, made it obligatory. The reason for the disagreement is the
That's important. What's the reason of disagreement? This is regarding the 3rd issue, takhleel.
Is the controversy about the authenticity of the narrated traditions containing the command for takhleel.
Okay.
Takhleel.
Now, there are authentic ahadith from the Prophet ﷺ that he did takhleel, the Prophet ﷺ. But his command, in other narrations, he commanded to do the takhleel. But these ahadith where he commanded, they are weak. The ahadith that are authentic, they say that he did it. But again, the Prophet ﷺ, when he did something, it's not automatically mandatory. Unless he says, you do as I do, or you have to do it. Okay? Because he may did it as a recommendation, extra.
The majority are of the view that they are not authentic, and the narration in which the acts of the Prophet ﷺ ablution are reported do not contain anything about takhleel of the beard.
Okay. We'll stop here, inshallah. Is there any question about the issues that we discussed? Yes.
I noticed in the first issue, Abu Hanifa wasn't mentioned. When he leaves out, even when he leaves out, like some scholars like Abu Hanifa and some of the issues,
Yes.
what does it mean?
Sometimes he does not mention all the opinions. whether because it's very well known or he himself was not sure what's the opinion, or it is dropped, basically. And if you want to ask me, I can give you the answer. But once I give you the answer, it will be required from you to know. And I will ask you about it in the exam. So it's up to you.
The description of the face, you said
Yeah.
wajh.
The face, again, what is from the forehead to the chin, and what is from ear to ear. So this hairless part, it is included. But others said face is whatever is seen once someone stands before you. So the entire beard is seen, so it is from the face. And based on that, you have to wash the entire beard.
Was that from the literalist?
The literal meaning of the face is what? This is the thing, from the forehead to the chin, and from ear to ear. So everything included is washed. But the confusing issue, if someone is bald, where his forehead starts? From the back of the neck? Okay, we will come to detailed issues later on, inshallah. Is there any questions? Another questions?
It's amazing that the amount of effort these scholars put in.
Yeah. Okay, then we'll stop here, inshallah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.